Hello, I am Radagast in Mystic Brew on January 17th. And I kind of have two operating titles. I guess the one that might sound better is The Empire Flails Back. And the other one would be Whining and Dining at Davos, except Whining is spelled Whining. So it looks like the engineering of the New World Order is running into some snags. Isn't that just wonderful? And it really is wonderful. What has been going on for some decades, but really picking up steam, especially in the last 8 years. Just has been, you see it, TTIP, right, and the TTP, which was basically corporations having more say than governments. The Agenda 21, which became Agenda 2030. Some people say, oh, there's some nice things in there. I don't like the whole oversight of it. The UN has been largely ineffective and maintaining any kind of world peace. I guess, I don't know whether Saudi Arabia is still head of the Human Rights Commission or Council. I think maybe they are just still on it, which is it's just a joke. There's nothing about Saudi Arabian human rights that belong in the same sentence, unless you're kind of saying that they are probably one of the biggest examples of transgressions against human rights. So anyway, Davos has been meeting. I've seen a few excerpts. They're not too happy. They're quite distraught about Brexit and the election of Donald Trump, and that all this populism and nationalism is rolling back all the progress that's been made. Depending on who you are, the metrics for progress are very different. So when I see the kind of people that meet at Davos talking about progress is looking like this will impede progress, it's a good thing. Similarly, the election of Donald Trump and his impending inauguration has just made the roaches scurry. They're not even waiting for the dark. They're coming out in the full of the light, and everybody's getting quite exposed. And this is a very good thing. Now some of the agencies are getting a bad name, and it's really, it's not the agencies, it's who's at their head, and then that's how you control it. Everybody wants to keep their jobs. So the people who really don't like what's going on kind of keep their heads down and keep on collecting their paychecks. But right now, what's going on, and the election of Donald Trump is finding great reception the world over from common people. I mean, I go on to the different websites, whether it's Press TV, RT, Sputnik, places where, outside the U.S. controlled media. And people from all over the world are excited about what this represents. And as we have the meeting at Davos, which is the kind of public face of usually the very quiet Bilderberg type meetings, panic is setting in. I mean, even when I heard some of these people speaking, you could see they know it's for public record. So they were not quite stumbling, but there wasn't that flow because they had to speak in measured language, and you could see they were struggling with it because they're attempting to appear concerned about things, as if like, oh, these are just managers who are very concerned over what looks like to be the populism, which really means to them that the rabble are rising. Please understand that the people who oversee how things go on this planet really have no respect for us. We are the useless eaters to them. And I hope that being called a useless eater makes you at least a little unhappy, if not downright pissed off, because you should be. These people have just been very fortunate by circumstance and by birth, and there's no special talent there, except for the talent to, I guess, the talent of no empathy. I'm quite sure if we could do brain scans on many of the people, we would find that they are, in fact, psychopathic and incapable of empathy. It happens to 3% of the population. It's just kind of a genetic thing that happens. And when you think about that, often the top are called the 1%, and then you realize it's 3% of the world to fill in that 1/3 of that, because 1% is 1/3 of 3%. You can see that 1% could be filled with quite a few psychopaths. So where do I got? Oh, yes. And of course, another thing that happened this past week is Dr. Udo Ulfkott. Now, he was a journalist, reporter for German media, and he came out in just the past couple of months was telling him how basically the CIA managed their newsrooms, kind of told them what was okay to go ahead with, would feed them stories. So he broke that news, and this past week, I think he was like in his 50s, maybe 56, he died of a heart attack. So we somebody who was breaking the story is now no longer with us. Obviously, the empire is flailing back, and their flailing can be deadly. So, and they're the almost monolithic response of all of the Western media. Them all picking up the Russian attack. Matter of fact, I saw a really funny cartoon. It was yesterday. And it was two dogs sitting side by side looking up at the camera with that kind of look that you get if you're a dog owner. If you ever come home and your dog has done something in the house, whether it's tear something up or poop in the hallway, they kind of greet you with that look like, oh, hi, you're not going to do anything to me. Anyway, there are these two dogs looking up with that look on their face. And the caption reads, "We're so glad you're home. The Russians pooped in the hallway." So this is kind of the just the desperation and the pushing of a meme that obviously some portion of the people who get all their news from the TV, not everybody who's watching is falling for it, but there are some people who seem to be either just don't have a clue, but there also seems to be some kind of mind virus out there. And I wouldn't be surprised if digital TV and the ability to send certain kinds of signals, and of course, repeated messages. But I was speaking to a friend of mine a couple of hours ago, and years ago he was in Washington, D.C., and he was doing some work with intelligence agencies, and so he was kind of aware of where mind control was a couple of decades ago. And he even remarked to me tonight, he goes, based on what I knew about mind control 20 years ago, what is possible today could very easily explain why normally rational people seem to trigger at certain words. And one of those words is Donald Trump or Trump. I mean, you could be having a nice conversation. Donald Trump comes into it and they just fall apart. And they just kind of, their blood pressure rises. They come out with which are just seem to be like loaded words. Again, xenophobe, racist, bigot, misogynist. And the worst one of all to me is anti-Semite. And because it doesn't even make sense. Donald Trump's son-in-law, who is a big part of what he's doing, is Orthodox Jewish. His daughter converted to Judaism to marry the man. So now he has a daughter that is a converted Jewish woman. with a son-in-law who has always been an Orthodox Jew. His pick for ambassador to Israel is like all on board with the settlers. I mean, you know, if you calling Donald Trump an anti-Semite is to not be with the program. And given that that information is out there, but people who probably even have or possessed of decent IQs, the fact that they can even lump that in, it's almost like they're just running a program because it isn't strung in a dialogue. And I mean, another thing, you know, again, you know, the whole gay thing. I mean, apparently some people did not watch much Donald Trump because, again, they had this revulsion. So they didn't see him holding the rainbow flag up at one. I mean, walking across the stage, holding up a rainbow flag and said LB, you know, whatever, you know, LBG, QT, whatever. Waving it, you know, like, yeah, I'm on board. You have my support. So the whole, you know, even the anti-gay thing doesn't work. I mean, it's just crazy. So there really does seem to be some kind of programs or mind control loaded in that is making people who are not part of the insider group, like a lot of the media is, respond like so you kind of have this, it's like a group mind. I mean, it's like a hive mind, and this in this response. So for me, somebody who kind of taps into the what's sometimes called the noosphere, NOOP, you know, sphere, which is kind of like the collective mind of humanity, man, it's knocking the shit out of me. It's just crazy in there. And so I'll really be glad. And I have 3 more days of that. I'm quite sure the inauguration won't fix a lot of it, but even going into the inauguration, I mean, there were the 2 Project Veritas videos. One came out, part 2 came out today, part 1 was out yesterday, with somebody who went undercover with a camera and in certain cases a microphone. And these people are, you know, the things they're plotting, like, you know, the butyric acid that they would have liked to. I guess they won't get it done now. They wanted to put into the hotel where they're having the deplorable, where there's a celebration the night before the inauguration. They wanted to put in this really horrible smell. I guess it smells like vomit. And they wanted to get it into the HVAC system, and so that it was just spilling in, and, you know, people would be vomiting and not be able to stay in there. And then they were also plotting a way to set off the sprinkler system so that people would get all wet and they'd be driven out into the cold. Ooh, isn't that kind? I mean, so, and then when one of the people was referring to a compatriot, somebody in on it with him, referred to him as comrade. So when people start talking about cultural Marxism or communism, comrade as a word, I mean, I call almost every man I meet brother. That's how I feel, because that's my unity I feel. So, you know, brother, you know, it's not part of any cult. I'm actually acknowledging my male counterparts as brother. I don't run into that many women these days, but I would call them sister. And I refer to them jointly, you know, as a group, as my brothers and sisters. When you hear the word comrade, I mean, come on, that's part of a mindset. So the people who are behind this, are organized. This isn't just some rabble. And this one guy was also talking about going for the throat punch to people. I mean, it's really ugly. But fortunately, this news broke. It's been given to the FBI. So, and then something I saw just before I started the show, they're now rolling back their plans. They're only going to close 1 bridge instead of many bridges. Many of the roads that they were going to close are now being closed by the police, but with redirected traffic. So it looks like a lot of these plans are getting busted. So there'll be a little less, dark actions, but still. I mean, even of course, I'm hearing, you know, there's police or other types of snipers being placed on roofs. I just hope that the snipers have people looking at them in binoculars, make sure that whatever they're pointing is not pointing in the wrong direction, if you catch my drift. Um, so really, it is like a mind virus out there. Let me put on my glasses because again, I always write too small. I did make some little notes. I'm trying to keep this, relatively short. Um, yeah, the Davos, they're worried about the backlash against globalism. Um, one of the things I wrote is kind of like Davos. It's kind of like the empire is looking for its safe space, and Davos is doing that now. What else do I have here? The year of the rooster's coming on January 28th. The Chinese New Year. The rooster announces a new dawn. I'd like to, in many ways, it seems like Donald Trump is going to be the rooster with that hair is almost like, a cock's comb, which is that appendage on a rooster's head. And then, of course, from a numerological perspective, 2017 is a one universal year. 2 plus 0 is 2, plus 1 is 3, plus 7 is 10. Reduce it because the 0 doesn't matter. It's a 1. It's a one universal year. So between the rooster announcing a dawn and a one universal year, this is a really meaningful cycle that is beginning. And again, the language coming out from around the world from the useless eaters is one of excitement and hope. And part of the empire is to demoralize people. That's why the art is ugly, modern art is ugly, modern music is ugly. It's meant to demoralize people. It's meant to be bleak. And so this hope is like poison to them, to the empire. What else do I have here? Oh yeah, the whining and dining. And again, to me, part of this is, the dismantling of what I call the Anunnaki social engineering. Zecharia Sitchin, brought out the whole Anunnaki story. But meanwhile, the whole Gnostic story, with the divine feminine has been, I'd like to say, suppressed. For the most part, it's been kind of burned out of existence. The Cathars were Gnostics, and they had equality of the sexes, and of course they were exterminated, man, woman, and child, under orders of the Pope, who a couple of weeks ago called fake news the equivalent of eating shit. So now he's exposed. If anybody thought that the Pope was kind of on a side little guy when he came out against fake news, which is the real scoop, the unedited, non-mainstream version, when he came out against people knowing the facts, he showed his true colors. He's part of the New World Order. And I'm quite sure it doesn't surprise many, but confirmation. You might suspect him. He's not a suspect anymore. He's confirmed. Now, another interesting thing is apparently, at least Donald Trump is in dialogue with Robert Kennedy Jr., who is one of the people that wants the truth about at least what's in vaccines to come out. And he has done a lot of investigation about the cover-ups of what is in these vaccines. Thimerosal is a preservative that is mercury. They use mercury basically to make sure that these dead viruses don't have any to keep them quote unquote clean. It's kind of like a disinfectant. But mercury is also a very potent neurotoxin. So I don't want to call him an anti-vaxxer, because I don't, this isn't pro or anti-vax. This is a full knowledge of what is in vaccines. And then to me, the freedom of health freedom, where you have the choice to vaccinate, in which case whatever's going around, if your kids are vaccinated, they're safe. And the ones who say, I want to go old school like I did and had all my childhood diseases, and now I'm inoculated for life, no need for boosters, no need for extra mercury. I had my fillings when I was younger. It's just, to me, it's about health freedom. And if everybody is free to choose whether they want to vaccinate or not vaccinate. That's what I want. I'm not into being anti-vaccine. People who want to vaccinate their children, I think, should have the freedom to do so. I think they should have the full information. I think if the average person getting vaccinated said, oh, by the way, there's that insert that comes in the package with what, that comes with what you're filling that needle with. Can I read that? If many of them read what those pamphlets say, they might at least reconsider. Let's put it that way. So I really like the idea that RFK has been, looks like he'll be kind of like, part of a task force to look into what might have been covered up about the possible dangers of vaccines as they are currently configured. Again, the basic potion might be quite benign, but when you start adding two things, thimerosal, which is a mercury, and then there's this other strange thing, nagalase. Nagalase is spelled Nagalase. Put that in your search engine and do a little research on nagalase instead of me going off on it, so I can keep this show to a manageable length here. And then the other thing I really like about the election of Donald Trump, and then I might close with some of the things I'm not liking, is the breaking from politically correct language. Politically correct language is mind control. When you have to watch what you say, you stop thinking the things that you can't say, and that starts shutting you down. And now some of the things we say, a lot of times we say things we wish we didn't say, and there's always rooms for apologies, retractions, and resetting. But to kind of police our thoughts, to me, that's invasion of privacy. And so on a lot of things look like something on the outside, and you go, "Oh, that's good," but the fact is, these outside things have inner effects, and much of it is about the dumbing down or the shutting down of the immense creativity of the human being. So, to me, we're breaking with PC is a way of breaking with the empire. When you can't control our speech, from people who might be offended. I mean, if offense is something or I've taken offense, well, then don't take it. The offense, there's a lot of choice in offense. And part of the whole PC culture is telling people what they should be offended. Whether they're offended or not, you kind of indoctrinate them. This should be offensive to you. This should be offensive to you, and whatever. And it's a construct. So okay, my biggest unhappiness is at least something that the nominee for Attorney General, Jeff Sessions, said, I guess it was in spring, where he said, good people don't use marijuana. That's just an ignorant thing. And it's, again, if anybody knows, I'm all for nature and what the Creator gave its creation. So that means all of the plants. I'm not talking about, I mean the opium poppy and anything that you might be able to do with, taking some opium, maybe mixing with alcohol so you can drink it, whatever. I'm not endorsing heroin. I'm not endorsing cocaine, but I think coca leaves to either chew, make tea out of, there's a use for them. Matter of fact, one of the popes, when they was in the Andes, drank coca tea because it helped with his altitude illness. I'm for the complete freedom of access and use to whatever creation gave us. Anything else to me is demonic. So for me, for something like marijuana, and of course it's non-psychoactive hemp, any prohibition, any erecting of a legal structure against nature is demonic to me. Now, from what I know of Jeff Sessions, is kind of like, a Southern, maybe Christian kind of guy. Jeff, it's your what you have said is demonic. Okay? And so this is where you might want to get off that legal system, the written legal system, which is not attached to the natural law of the Creator. I'm not happy with that. And again, he said that in spring. So maybe, you know, he's changed. And then the other thing is marijuana, especially in the 37 states where it's legal, and some other states, it's now a multi-million, if not $1 billion industry. Donald Trump, it's employing thousands of families who are, you know, they're actually feeding families, raising families through the marijuana industry. Donald Trump wants to make America great again. He wants to bring back jobs. Well, don't erase jobs through your misanthropic attorney general, or at least pull them aside and say, you know what, you can have the job, but not with that attitude. All right. So I want to send that out there. I want to kind of just, you know, create the buzz that kind of talk, Jeff Sessions, is unacceptable. It is unacceptable and is anti-God. And I don't, from what I know of, you're not an anti-God person. So you just need to get off your legal horse, get on the natural horse of God or Creator, whatever you want to term it, and get with the program. You are running an old demonic program. So get hip, dude. All right. Okay, I guess that's going to close it down for this show. The Whining and Dining at Davos, or the Empire Flails Back. Thank you very much. It's really interesting. I lost a few subscribers after my last 2 videos, gained back one. I don't know who I'm pissing off on. I don't know why. I just have to be as honest as I can, and I will gain or lose as people see fit. But if you haven't subscribed and you would like to be a part, I do it just about every other day, at least currently. And please subscribe if you liked it. Please give me a thumbs up. If you have something to say, put it in the comments section. All right. My love to you all. Until next time.